So when talking about the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo's next-gen system, there haven't really been any new leaks and rumors that have come out as of late. However, we do have an update that we have to some information that we got from Nintendo's global president, Mr. Shuntaro Furukawa, as Nintendo had a financial investors meeting a few days ago where the president, Mr. Furukawa, basically told everybody that all the Switch 2 rumors that have been going around recently are not true and that they deny anything about what happened, about the rumors saying that there was stuff that they showed at Gamescom with Switch 2 dev kits and all of that. So we actually have an update now to that information, which is now coming from Nate the Hate. Now, if you don't know who Nate the Hate is, he is one of the more credible and accurate insiders that we have. There's been many instances where he's talked about upcoming video games and even exactly when a Nintendo Direct is going to happen, and that stuff has turned out to be true. So I'd put more faith into this person compared to some random person on 4chan or Reddit or somebody who we don't know about who's just talking about the Switch 2 and trying to give random information. So Nate the Hate has proven multiple times that he does seem to have credible sources that give him inside information, and so he has his own podcast on his own YouTube channel, which I will have linked below in the description, where he talks about these upcoming Switch 2 rumors and kind of just the stuff that he's heard about. And he talked a little bit more about his thoughts on everything that Nintendo's global president has talked about with this financial meeting and how he really feels about the state of the Nintendo Switch 2. So there's a couple of little updates in here, and I do want to talk about it and give you guys my thoughts as well. Now, I think it's pretty easy to say that from all of the Switch 2 leaks and rumors and everything that we've heard about this year, really the one that everybody remembers the most is the big report that came out, I think towards the end of the summer, where they were saying that Nintendo had shown off Switch 2 dev kits behind closed doors at Gamescom to multiple developers, showing exactly what the Switch 2 was going to be capable of. And this came out from a report by multiple big video game journalist websites like Video Games Chronicle and Eurogamer, and so this was definitely one of the bigger ones that came out and everybody started talking about it. And because these are huge video game websites, they're basically putting their credibility on the line by putting out these types of reports. So it's not like these people just made up these random rumors out of nowhere and all of these websites decided to just randomly put out this information one day saying let's trick everyone into saying that they showed off the Switch 2 even though they didn't do anything like that. Obviously, unless they heard something themselves, they're not going to just make up an article out of nowhere. So it is very interesting how multiple sources came out on the same day talking about how these Switch 2 rumors were coming out about them showing it off behind closed doors at Gamescom. And then now we had the Nintendo financial meeting which just came by, and the Nintendo global president was like, yeah, we didn't actually do anything like that, we didn't show that off, and the information that's going around, it's public stuff right now, is inaccurate. And to that, Nate was actually talking about how it's actually kind of interesting because if you take a look at the words that Mr. Furukawa uses when talking about this, he mentions the word prototype as if they showed off an actual piece of hardware physically in person to all of those people behind the closed doors at Gamescom. And that's actually something that we know for a fact is not true, because even those major reports that came out from Eurogamer and all of them said that it was just basically a tech demo that they showed off on a screen or a laptop or something to give developers an idea of what the system is capable of, but they didn't actually show the system itself. They didn't show the controllers or what the system is going to look like or anything like that. But Furukawa is saying in his statement here that they did show off prototypes. So he's basically kind of just trying to kind of dance around the question and kind of use different words to kind of imply that Nintendo didn't actually do this, because he's technically correct. They didn't show off physical prototypes. So because of that, they can say that the information going around about it is inaccurate, but we know for a fact that the information from Eurogamer and all of that did already say that there wasn't prototypes. So in a way, Furukawa is kind of just cleverly not really giving us the information that we want to hear, even though this actually did happen, because he's using the word prototypes and we know that they didn't actually show those. And so Nate did mention how it is very interesting that Furukawa still refuses to talk anything about the next generation Switch or next gen hardware or anything like that. And he's basically saying that the most logical reason for why is because he wants to control the entire narrative himself. He wants to have the announcement from when he decides to talk about the next gen hardware and not from it coming out with random leaks and insiders and stuff like that, which is obviously very understandable. Obviously, if you're running the company, you want to have the announcements come yourself. So it makes a lot of sense. But there is some information that we kind of learned about this from the other information that we've had from these Gamescom rumors. And so that we also got an update on from Nate the Hate as well, where if you remember remember when he originally talked about kind of the information that he heard from what Nintendo showed off at Gamescom behind closed doors to the developers, he did say that a lot of the Nintendo representatives at this event kept mentioning March 2024. And Nate did say that when he heard that initially, he didn't get any type of information as for what March 2024 meant. He just heard that they kept mentioning it and that apparently something is going to happen in March 2024. Now, originally, when this information first came out towards the end of the summer, Nate did mention that it is possible that this information could mean that maybe the next Nintendo system is going to be coming out by March of 2024, and that Nintendo could be trying to do some type of reveal maybe towards the end of this year, and then have like an early kind of presentation towards the beginning of next year, and then have the system out in March of 2024, just like what they did with the Nintendo Switch. But obviously now that we're in the month of November, and we've heard nothing about the Nintendo Switch 2 or Nintendo's next-gen system, or anything like that, Nate is kind of getting more and more confident now that this is probably now going to be the reveal for the system, and that we're actually going to hear about it for the first time now in March of 2024. And honestly, I could definitely see this happening. Really, the only thing that's a little bit kind of weird to me is we know that that Princess Peach game is going to be coming out in March of next year. So would it really be the smart decision to reveal Nintendo's next generation system and show off a trailer for that just a few days or weeks before that Princess Peach game comes out? Maybe it doesn't really matter, and maybe I'm just thinking too much into it, but yeah, I feel like it actually would make a lot of sense, because if they decide to reveal the system for the first time, we could get like a reveal trailer that's like 3 minutes long, just showing us exactly what the system is going to look like, what it's going to be capable of, and then we get that in March, and then we'll probably have to wait like a couple months until like the summer, where in like June or July we'll get like that big blowout presentation where it might be even in person, like what they did with the Nintendo Switch presentation back in 2017 in January, where they bring out a lot of developers and really give like an in-depth look at what the system is going to be capable of, how the controllers are going to work, kind of just give us like a deep dive into the actual hardware itself, show us maybe like a big launch game that's going to be coming out and all of that, and then just wait a couple more months and the system should be out around the holiday time, around like October or November, right in time for like Christmas and when everybody is going to be asking for it. So honestly, that timeline to me does make a lot of sense, and I feel like it could definitely be a possibility of happening. And then really the only other important thing that they talked about was this one slide that Nintendo had in their presentation during their financial report, and it talked about how the Nintendo Switch is still going to be supported even into its 8th year. And to this, Nate was talking about how it's very possible that even after the Nintendo Switch 2 comes out, a lot of games could potentially be like cross-gen titles, and Nintendo could be looking more into that and really kind of treating the Nintendo Switch 2 maybe not as like a full-on just next-gen system right away, but more so like another member into the Nintendo Switch family, and that way there's going to be kind of more cross-gen games for a little bit before they fully move on to next-gen games. And of course, this would be kind of like replicating exactly what Sony did with the PlayStation 5, where the PlayStation 5 has been out for 3 years, and it was really only until this year where I can say that it really felt like there were some big exclusives that came out on the PlayStation 5 that are actually convincing people now to go out and get the system, because this is the only way that you can experience those types of games. So like this year, we actually got like a big summer game like Final Fantasy 16, where it's like a big action-adventure RPG game that you can only play currently on the PlayStation 5. Just a few days ago, or like in last month, we got Spider-Man 2, which is obviously like a really amazing sequel to Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. And then we had Miles Morales and all of that. So now you can have like this crazy new Spider-Man experience that you can have only on the PlayStation 5. But before that, like even after the PS5 came out in 2020, for like a year and a half, a lot of the biggest titles that came out were still available on the last generation system, being the PlayStation 4. I mean, the PS5's biggest launch game was Spider-Man Miles Morales, and that game also came out on the PlayStation 4. And then after that, we had Horizon Forbidden West, which was an expansion to Horizon Zero Dawn, and it was like a whole-on sequel to that game, and that also came out on the PS4. One of the biggest narrative story-driven games that came out last year was God of War Ragnarok, and that also came out on the PS4. So it's really only until now that we finally started kind of breaking away from the PS4 and making PS5 only games. And so Nintendo could very well try to replicate something like this, where maybe for like the first like year or two, there's going to be more games coming out on the Switch 2 as well as the current Nintendo Switch that we all have right now. That way it gives a little bit of time for people to buy the new Nintendo Switch as well, and there's not obviously going to be a lot of people who can buy the Switch right away when it comes out day one, so it would make a lot of sense to kind of have some cross-gen games. We do still have other games that Nintendo hasn't even shown off yet, like Metroid Prime 4, which is still going to be coming out on this current Nintendo Switch, but they could definitely do it like a cross-gen release with that on the next-gen system as well. There's probably other games that we don't know about that they're going to show off inside of that next Nintendo Direct that they're probably going to do at the early part of 2024 in like February, so I'm sure there's still going to be other games, and it's very possible that Nintendo could be looking more into doing these cross-gen games for a little bit before fully breaking on into their next-gen system. And it's definitely possible that there's probably going to be like a case-by-case basis to this. I don't think that this means like the next huge 3D Mario game is also going to be available on this Switch and then also the Switch 2. It's very likely that that's probably going to be like a launch title for the next system to get people to go out and buy it. But it is very possible that something like Metroid Prime 4, maybe some other games, and especially from third parties, that they could definitely be releasing on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2 for a little bit before they fully start moving on to Switch 2. But yeah, I just wanted to give some updates about this information because I do find it interesting that Nintendo could potentially be looking more into doing cross-gen types of games, and that we could actually get the reveal for the Nintendo Switch 2 in March of 2024. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel, as well as I'm going to be having more videos talking about Nintendo's next-gen system as the information comes out. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about all of this. What do you guys think now could be happening in March of 2024? Do you think that that's when we're actually going to hear about the next generation Nintendo system? Do you think we're going to get a trailer? And how do you feel about Nintendo possibly moving into doing more of these cross-gen types of games for a little bit, even after the Switch 2 comes out? Let me know what you guys think about all of this. But if you don't have anything to talk about this, definitely just comment your favorite emoji down below for some engagement. I would really appreciate it. Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.